Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. Good morning to you all. I am Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. Who we got? We got Scott, we got Diz, we got Martin Harrow, got Sarah Davis in there, Trip, Leapshin. We got Ian in there as well. We have Martin. We have Anne, and we have Stevie H and Captain Coconut in there as well. Amongst many others, One-Eyed Pagan is in there. Just like to say a big shout out to everyone watching. Now, if you are watching and you would like to join the chat, but you're feeling a bit shy, don't be. We're a welcoming bunch. Just don't be a troll. That's the only rule. Just don't be a troll. That's all we ask. So if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to opine wildly in the chat there. Good morning, Politics Social, says Yuri. Good morning, Yuri. How you doing? How you doing this fine morning? A little bit overcast here in Durham. Big shout out to my partner, Catherine, who ran the 5K in the Durham City Run yesterday. And she came 26th out of 119 in her age and gender category. So that was really cool. Well done, Catherine. I'm really, really proud of her. She only started couch to 5K in January, and she said, next year you'll have to join me, Graham. And I'm like, maybe. Anyway, let's talk about Coldplay. Can we talk about this first? So if you didn't notice this on the social medias last night, a CEO of a company called Astronomer, which I don't know what they do, but anyway, the CEO, a guy called Andy Byron. He was Byron, even fucking I can't read this morning. Andy Byron. He was caught on the Jumbotron, which is when they show people in the crowd and they put them up on the screen. It's something that I've not really seen at British football matches. I guess we've got to start doing it more as things get more American. But if you go to an American footy match, or you go to like the ice hockey or something, they love to get people on the Jumbotron, and people go dressed in stupid things, or they'll bring a kid and hold their kid up and go, "Look at my child," and they see themselves up on the big screen. They're like, "Yay, I'm on the big screen." Anyway, so this guy was up on the big screen with a woman who wasn't his wife. It was a kiss cam segment. Apparently the lead singer of Coldplay, Chris Martin, said either they're having an affair or they're very shy because they hid their faces when they saw they were on the Jumbotron. But the joke going around social media is the big bit of embarrassment here isn't the affair, it's the fact that he went to a Coldplay concert. Anyway, so what can I say? If you are embarking on an affair, try and make it a little less obvious to literally everybody watching. So the other thing that kicked off yesterday was the quarterfinals of the women's Euros. It was England versus Sweden, and oh my god, what a match! Now I missed the first half because I was out with Catherine and the race, and I got back, started watching it. At about, I don't know, it was at the 80th minute, and we were like 2-0 down. And I was like, okay, so we're going to lose this then. And then we scored 2 goals in like, I don't know, a minute. And then it went to extra time. It went to penalties. And oh my God, the penalty shootout was at once the worst and the best penalty shootout of all time. It was absolutely nuts. It was phenomenal. I'll run you through it, okay? So, first of all, Russo stepped up for England and scored. And then Angel Dahl for Sweden missed. So everyone's like, oh, whoa, this is going to be really good. But then James struck for England, and that was saved by the Swedish goalkeeper. So we were still on 1-0 to England. And then Ziggy Otti Olm for Sweden scored, so it was to 1-1. And then it was saved, missed, saved, scored, scored, missed, saved, scored, missed. For a final result in the penalty shootout of 2-3 to England. It was phenomenal. It was like one of those moments because it goes to sudden death. And at that point, like England went first and they missed. It was saved. It was saved. And it was like, oh shit. So basically, if Sweden just got this penalty, it would have got in. So it would have got in. It would have been the end of the match. They would have won. But our goalie saved it. So that was quite fun. And something that's slightly less fun, but it's fun in a way that it's really annoying Trump. Well, it's two things. First of all, he's got like deep vein thrombosis or something. He's got some medical ailments. I don't want to wish awful things on people, but he's an awful person. So fuck him. Yeah, I hope it's not too pleasant. What he's got chronic veiny thrombosis or something. I don't know. Veiny fucking, I don't know. Naked mole vat. Blind naked roll map veinies. I'm conflicted just about football, but I also think the women have earned it. I see Swedish fans had a... yeah, I saw that as well, Sonic Shadow. I saw that as well, that someone had an ABBA greater than Beatles sign. A Swedish fan was holding up. As soon as I saw that, I thought... I was, because I have a soft spot for Sweden. I was like, screw you guys. I got all defensive. I was like, okay, we've got to win now. We've got to win this one. I'm not having that. Brilliant. Anyway, so he's got a bad case of the karmas, said Stevie H. I think he's got... I have it on bad authority that he has syphilis. I've got no evidence for it, but it's a fact. Anyway, so yeah. So the other thing about Trump, I don't really want to talk about Trump, and we'll be going through this obviously on the Friday Night Social, so don't worry about it. We'll talk about it and make fun of him later. But there was a Wall Street Journal report that came out that in 2003, Donald Trump contributed a risque birthday note featuring an outline of a naked woman to a leather-bound album for Epstein's 50th birthday with the message, "May every day be another wonderful secret." So Trump said it's fake. He said he's gonna sue the Wall Street Journal. I mean, look, we know that Trump. We know they hung out. We got video footage. We got like lots of pictures. We know they hung out. Like, why is he denying this? Like, absolutely bizarre. They were seen partying together in the 90s, although Epstein was later apparently banned from Mar-a-Lago, the shit house that Donald Trump owns in Florida. And oh my God, I saw a comparison today. There's a marble mantelpiece, around the fire. And then there's they had a picture, and it was Trump. It was Biden. How Biden had it when it was his White House. So it was a picture of the mantelpiece from the two eras, from the Biden era and then the Trump era. And the Biden era was classy, marble, nice. It looks good. The Trump one, oh my God. Like when you see comedy clips of like African dictators from the 1970s where they've got all the medals that go out over here and the big fuck off shoulder, the epaulet things, what they call the big shoulder pads that go out like a twat, and they have like a palace and everything's like gold, everything's painted gold, and it looks so incredibly tacky, just like the tackiest. If you ever watch the movie Wall Street, if you ever watch that Gordon Gekko is played by Michael Douglas. He has this apartment in New York, and it's fucking foul. It is like the most 80s thing you can possibly imagine. It's like Ghostbusters and Kylie and Back to the Future and workout videos with fluorescent headbands all just rolled into one. It's just all the tackiest shit of the 1980s. And he's got these like huge shite artwork pieces from the 80s that everyone in the 80s was like, oh, this is beautiful. I've been told it's beautiful because I don't know anything about art and I just do what I'm told. It's worth lots of money. I'll buy it without actually giving it any kind of aesthetic credence. Yeah, he just looks like that. He just looks like one of those dictators from like a comedy movie, from like, a piss take movie. But actually, he's the dictator of America right now. It's quite phenomenal. Anyway, ABBA versus Beatles. Do we need to compare them? Enjoy them both. That is a very good point, Kirsty. I like that. Yeah. I don't really understand why it has to be coffee versus tea or cat versus dogs or the Beatles versus the Stones. I like them both. It's fine. You don't have to have like it's a bit childish, isn't it? Like, who would win in a fight, eh? Who would win in a fight? And I'm like, they're not going to fight. I can buy a Stones album. I can buy a Beatles album. I'm quite happy to do that. Beggar's Banquet. It's fucking brilliant. I mean, Sgt. Pepper's is probably the best album of all time ever. For my money. I don't know. It's fine. Do we have that? Because it was in the 1990s, wasn't it? 1995, the summer. It was 30 years ago this summer that the big Battle of the Bands took place. I think it was in August, wasn't it? Was it August 1995 when Oasis brought out Roll With It and Blur brought out Country House on the same day? And you had to choose between Blur or Oasis. So I chose Blur. And then I bought the Oasis single a week after just because Liam and Noel are twats. And the guys from Blur are all right. But I liked Blur and Oasis. I didn't find a problem with that. I like menswear and Nine Inch Nails. I went to a menswear gig and then went to a Nine Inch Nails gig a week later. Sue me. But there you go. Unconscious people don't want tea, says Michael. It's true. Queen 1 is the best album ever, says one angry pagan. ABBA versus Beatles, not keen on either. Oh, Pygmalion, get out. No, I'm joking, you can stay. But also get out. I'm just saying that as like a metaphor for. Anyway, what have we talked about? Coldplay. Fucking hell. You can tell it's a slow news day today, can't you? There is some really, really, really good news though that I'm incredibly, incredibly excited about. I'm probably a little bit more excited about than I should really be excited about it. But I actually mentioned on the show, I don't know if anyone's paying attention, earlier this week, how much I wanted trains around Europe, how much I wanted like a train. And I think the example I gave was I just want to get on a train here in Durham and go to Dusseldorf, right? That was the example I gave, right? So I've almost got what I wanted because there's going to be a direct train from London to Berlin. Yes! I cannot freaking wait. As someone who loves trains, loves travel, loves ground-based travel. Yeah, screw you with your hoverboards. I'm really excited about this. So we'll use the Euroscar? That's like the European version of the villain from the Lion King. Oh no, look out, it's the Euroscar. Eurostar and ICE networks, cutting travel times and carbon emissions versus flying, obviously. This is not just a physical reconnection with our continent, but this is a post-Brexit reconnection of diplomacy and climate pledges and trade as well. And the timeline, there's feasibility studies are going to go on for a little bit, find out how we can integrate ourselves into the current timetables. There's been past attempts at Eurostar routes have failed because of there was one supposed to go to Amsterdam in the Netherlands that fell apart, and also Marseille due to border checks and security theatre, and also the lack of investment. And we compare that to how France, Spain, Germany have thriving domestic high-speed rail links, while the UK remains like fragmented in ourselves because we have all these different bloody companies running all the different fucking trains on all these different fucking... Actually, not on the same tracks. So there's all these different companies running all these fucking trains on the same fucking tracks. I think there's about 5 or 6 companies. It might be more that run trains through Durham train station. Durham train station's got 2 platforms. And you can imagine it's got like 6 or 7 different train companies running through it. And if one train company has one train that just stops on the tracks, that holds all the other ones up. And they all sue each other. They all have this compensation package for each other if one train from another company is taken. Just streamline it, for the love of God. Just freaking streamline it. The other big news that we've had as well last night was I mean, look, I understand why they've done it, but we were talking yesterday about the Labour MPs who were suspended. And then Diane Abbott was suspended yesterday again for reiterating what she said when she was suspended for a year in the first place. So, I don't know what's going to happen. Whereas I thought that what Labour said, what Labour did yesterday, well, day before yesterday, suspending those MPs was a bit daft. I think what Diane Abbott did was a bit daft, reiterating something that she'd already been suspended for. What did she think was going to happen? She probably gets suspended again. But the thing is, she has a point. Like, what the point she's trying to make, and she made it clumsily in the first place, and I think she's made it clumsily again. But, yes, people who are Jewish and people who are travellers will face different discrimination than people who are black or brown, because you can't necessarily tell they're Jewish unless they're dressed as Orthodox Jews dress, with the payers and then the I've forgotten the names of all the different things, but or they got the kippah on, the skull cap. It's not entirely obvious that they are part of a different religion from a distance. I get that. I completely get that. And look, as a middle-aged, middle-class white man, I don't really have a position on. I really don't feel like I should have a strong position on this, because I'm not a minority, although I am ginger, which is one of the minorities that have been alluded to. But I don't feel like I've got any skin in this game. I would rather someone like Femi or even Mikey, or someone who has lived that life, who knows what it is to face that kind of horrific racism. And don't forget, Diane Abbott's faced horrific racism all her life. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if suspending her was the right thing to do. I don't know. They've got these rules, and they say the rules say you can't say this, and then someone says that. What do you think? What do you think in the chat? She didn't repeat what she originally said. She said she stood by her words. That is my view. Is not on grounds to have the whip removed. Starmer is going full authoritarian. Well, I wouldn't say he's going full authoritarian. I think that's a bit much. But yeah, I do agree that it's a bit like, just leave it. Just leave it. First one straight to the live track graveyard, says Nick. Well done, mate. I need to have a little animation, don't I, that says live chat graveyard. Comes up on the screen. Best album ever, says Acro Dave, is A Different Class by Pulp. Oh, in fact, okay, fair enough. We have our own albums that we love. Do you know what I used to do, right? Sorry, that's not what Acro Dave wrote. When I had my own blog, when I wrote my blog, Traveling Around the World, I could edit the comments, and occasionally, if someone wrote something really, really moronic, I'd literally edit their comment to put something else. Like, I just want to say, and I'll put it in inverted commas, and then I'll put something very bawdy about their mother or something in their comment, and then I'll stop them from deleting it. Oh, them were the days. Them were the days when you could proper gaslight people in an amusing way. In an amusing, not threatening, awful, dreadful, possibly illegal way. But God, that was funny. Jesus Christ. People go out there fucking, you edited me fucking comments. I'm like, damn right I did. Don't be a dick. Anyway, I thought Diane Abbott would want to join Corbyn's corner of politics. Oh, I don't know. Did you hear the story about when they went out on a date and she got all dressed up and they went out, and this is the first time because they've been together for a little while, and she was dead excited that they were actually going out on a date because he's just obsessed with politics. All he ever talked about was politics, just all the work and stuff. And they went out on a date, and I think he took her to Karl Marx's grave. I think that's what it is. That what it was? Is that what it was? Because someone who's got better memory than me remind me of like what that date was. But yeah, if Abbott said, "I regret the way I said it, but," rather than "I stand by what I said," she might not have been suspended. Yeah. I agree. Look, but at the same time, I don't know if it's my place to say. Mr. Tisk is saying what I said earlier, like the way Abbott made her point was clumsy, and I do think it was. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the train anyway. Back to the train. Back to Graham and his train set. So talking of the EU, so EU is remaining the EU is remaining the largest trading partner for Israel, and it refuses to impose meaningful sanctions despite the atrocities being committed in Gaza right now. Now, France and Germany are cautious about this. The eastern states are outright blocking any action. But Israel has violated international law repeatedly. We know it has. The UN reports, the International Court of Justice provisional rulings, human rights organizations are calling it apartheid, but the EU will not use any economic leverage to get Israel to pack it the fuck in. Starmer could push, I guess. The EU will try to. We're outside the EU now. And this is where Brexit isn't just to the detriment of our country. You know, it's made us all poorer, apart from the millionaires like Farage, who's made richer. It's made all us poorer. It's made the cost of pints of lager go up to £6.80. And also, it's meant that we have no say in Europe. So how is that affecting international affairs? Well, I believe that if we had a stronger say in Europe, then there'd be more of a chance of Starmer being able to say, let's do an EU-wide sanction, targeted sanctions on Israel that would actually have an impact. And I do think that the British government could have got more countries on board had we still been part of the EU. Now, we don't know. We could have still been under Tory rule. It might not have happened. Or there might have been loads of MEPs who were part of Brexit or Farage's latest fucking outfit. However, as the Prime Minister of the UK in Europe, in the EU, I really believe that we would have been pushing harder for those sanctions as a collective. I think one of the things that holds our stupid government back, and I get it, I hate it, but I get it, is the absolute dire financial and economic consequences of Brexit. We can't afford to put sanctions on Israel. That's the reality because of Brexit. So think about the power that we gave up because Nigel Farage and his disgusting shit-faced mates decided that it would be a jolly wheeze to make you poorer, to make everyone in this country, every household that is not populated by millionaires, they made us at least £1,500 a year poorer. That's what Farage did. He broke into your house and he stole £1,500. And if you're only earning £11,800 a year, that's 10%. That's more than 10% of what you earn. How dare he? How fucking dare he do that? What a scumbag. What an absolute scumbag. Don't mention beer. Most of our European stuff is now rubbishly brewed in the UK under license. Crap, inferior. Well, Kirsty, that was always the case, wasn't it, Kirsty? Like I think was it Foster's that took over the old McEwan's? Do you remember McEwan's? Right, that they just slapped a new badge on it and called it Foster's because they got the license to make it here. Yeah. As a heathen, says one angry pagan. Oh, heathen. I know what it's like to feel persecuted in public. Personally, it hurts to be told you don't exist. I mean, yeah, it's shit. This is why I've got some sympathy for Diane Abbott, because she's faced horrific racism all her life, and she's clearly been traumatized by it. And not just racism, but rampant sexism and misogyny, violent misogyny. The thing is, when it comes down to religion, is it really racism if someone is attacked because of their religion, not their skin colour? Well, you could argue that the Jews are a race. That's one of the things. Like, Jews aren't very evangelical. They're not about going around converting everyone to Judaism. So, and in Ethiopia, you have black Jews. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think what she said was clumsy. Suspend her again. I mean, couldn't they just have words with her and say, look, you got to stop saying this? It goes against our terms and conditions. Yeah. Graham, no, Stella was imported and 5.2%, but it was decades ago. Yeah, Stella bloody Stella Artois, wife beater. Oh my God, that stuff got you wrecked. Yeah. When I drink now, I try and stick on the 4% because otherwise I just get too drunk. And I'm so old now, I just fall asleep when I get drunk. I'm too old for like fighting. I never got into fights. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Christopher says, sorry, I was only going to lurk today, but Graham is deluded if he thinks FCO would allow Starmer to so dramatically shift our international allegiances. The Foreign and Commonwealth office. No, I mean that it wouldn't be necessarily that we are moving against Israel in that way. I'm talking about targeted sanctions against the higher ups in the Israeli government, which we did to Russia. Back in the day. I mean, we still do it now. Targeted individuals and say no, fuck off. We're not going to stand for this. To put pressure on the Netanyahu regime to pack it the fuck in. There are ways of doing it, but then again, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. What power? I mean, seriously though, what power do they have? They're fucking civil servants. Fuck them. The government's the sovereignty of this country, isn't it? The parliament is sovereign in this country, and the government runs the parliament. So, yeah, I mean, of course you're going to have the Sir Jeffreys there going, is that wise, Prime Minister? But yeah, I still think it's something we would have had more of a say for the EU, in the EU, if we were still part of the EU. That's the point. That's the point I was making. The EU lectures the global south on human rights, but it's not. You can't stop trading with a state accused of genocide. There's also a story here. This is about the Cardiff riot. Tenants in Cardiff receiving eviction warnings if any household member is convicted over last year's Ely riots. Ely riots, Ely. And this is kind of bizarre, like collective punishment. Why is this happening? What is even going on now? That did seem a little bit of a weird one. Grant Shapps has defended the use of a super injunction to suppress Afghan data leak. Grant Shapps, or whatever his name is today, Corinne Stockheath. I understand why they brought out the super injunction, right? Why they put it in there so people didn't know. But, I mean, this is this is an absolute shitfest, right? And there's a lot of finger pointing going on right now. And other people say, oh, well, fucking why did Labour announce this? They should have kept it secret. It's like, it wasn't Labour. It was the High Court judge who said the super injunction shouldn't be imposed anymore. So John Healey, our Defence Secretary, was abiding by the court ruling that they weren't even allowed to bring it up in Parliament, which brings up worries about the sovereignty of Parliament, doesn't it? But I think that the Tories were in error by the way that they handled the civil service and the military in this country. They cut the funding for both, and the culture in the civil service, foisted by, upon us by years of Tory misrule, is very much there are a lot of incompetent people in the civil service. I'm sorry, there are a lot of really good people in the civil service. Catherine, my partner, used to work in the civil service. But there are some people who are useless. They really, really are. and you can't get rid of them. It's very, very difficult to get rid of some of these people. But if you have a service that is run absolutely like as cheaply as possible, you're going to have screw ups like this. Those names, that amount of data should have never, ever, ever been put into one document. It's as simple as that. Like one unencrypted document with the names of 15,000 Afghans who had helped the British and 100 British agents. Like, what the fuck? Why was that list put together in one place? Why wasn't it encrypted? Why was it available to be emailed to someone? I mean, there are so many things wrong with this on so many levels, but it goes down to an endemic problem in the British civil service and in the British military that they have both been underfunded and encouraged not bad actors, but just people who are shit at their jobs to remain at their job for years and years on end. And you end up with a fuck up like this, which they reckon could cost up to £7 billion. That's an expensive fucking attachment on an email. Yovian, thank you very much. I doubt any Israeli government would care what the UK government did. Yeah, really good point, Jovian. Which is why if the EU moved as a bloc, that would actually have a measured effect on Israel. It's one of the many reasons why Brexit was such a terrible idea, unless, you're a foreign tyrant like Putin, and then it was great. Trump, Orban, scumbags. They're great. Good for them. Good for them. These massive computer incidents, bizarre. Yeah, but Leon Scott, this wasn't a hack. This wasn't somebody hacking into Co-op and stealing people's data. It wasn't someone hacking into M&S or even the NHS. This was someone with a spreadsheet with all of this top secret classified information on a fucking Excel spreadsheet. Like an unencrypted document that they sent via email. I mean, Jesus Christ. Because they didn't realise there's little tabs at the bottom that go to different spreadsheets, so they thought they were just sending the spreadsheet that was on the top. Possibly. I don't know. I think these are finger typers. I don't know. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Super injunction was originally suggested by the original judge. The government usually actually applied for an ordinary injunction. That is judicial activism. Yeah, but I mean, I agree with the judge. I agree with the judge that at the time, while they were getting these Afghans out the country because the name was on a fucking list that the Taliban and the Chinese and the Russians could get their hands on. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. I think that's what should have happened, and that's what did happen. I'm more pissed off with the systemic failures of our civil service and of our military, but in a way it's not their fault because it comes down to the lack of decent personnel and the lack of funding. The government under the Tories cut the money to the civil service as much as they possibly could. They also cut the funding to the military as much as they possibly could. We've now got the smallest standing army since, I don't know, fucking Napoleon's day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. 200 years. It's the smallest standing army we've got in 200 years. It's like, we don't need an army in the future. We're all friends now. Absolutely mind-blowing. Gallifreyan Red, sounds like a mistake I would have made. That said, I'm not trained or experienced in using spreadsheets. Yep, but the information shouldn't have been on a spreadsheet. It should have been on a bespoke system that only people in the military or people in the upper echelons of the civil service have access to this program, and it encrypts absolutely everything, and only people with this particular program can read the information. You shouldn't be using Microsoft Excel for this. They're probably using Lotus 123, to be honest with you. I mean, Jesus Christ. It is just, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Oh God, it was 18,700 Afghans who had applied to come to the UK. It was leaked in error by a British defence official in early 2022. and details of SAS and MI6 were amongst more than 100 Britons named in the database. I mean, that's the plot of Mission Impossible 1, isn't it? There's a list of all the secret agents from around the world. There's a list of their names and what's his name? A Mission Impossible guy. Ethan Hunt has to hunt down this list and stop the bad guys from getting hold of it. Gareth T, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Morning, Graham. Reminder about what I told you on WhatsApp last night. Refuck are up to in my area. Oh, thank you, Gareth. Thank you very much for the super chat. And since you kindly gave me a super chat, I will have a look. Sorry, Gareth. One moment. Gareth T. There he is. Nice, lovely picture of Putin there having a laugh. Oh, that was me. I put that up. So this is from Gareth. Okay, so last night my council decided to make 2 long-standing councillors aldermen. It's a purely symbolic title given as a retirement present. The vote is usually a formality. However, one refuck councillor had to oppose it because he was gathering opinions, basically a few dickheads on Facebook. So that's how refuck work, government by social media. By the way, the vote passed 28-1, and even the Tories voted for it. I mean, just crazy. So Gareth says Monday was full council. We had the full council here in Durham on Wednesday. They spent 2 hours discussing flags and whether or not to spend £2 million on a referendum as to whether Lancashire becomes 3 unitary authorities or stays as it is, which is pointless as the government has said it is happening. They're also facing legal action for trying to fire the staff at County Hall and then rehire them on shitter contracts. It could bankrupt the council. We need to get this information out there. Thank you very much, Gareth, for sharing that with me. And you're absolutely right, mate. It is just absolutely fucking bonkers what these fuckers are getting away with. So we're entering a 4th heat wave, apparently, over the weekend. We're going to have hosepipe bans. We're going to have amber health alerts and overwhelmed NHS trusts. The Met Office says extreme heat is now the new normal, and these hosepipe bans are going to hit millions of people, while the privatized water companies are leaking 2.9 billion litres of water a day. But whatever, hosepipe bans for us. The companies that, in the years running up to the privatization of the water companies, there were hundreds of reservoirs built around the country. And since they were privatized, not a single one built. We just stopped building reservoirs, even though our population continued to increase. And it's just really grim. It's just really grim. But they tell us there's no money for real solutions. Why is there no money? Cries little Timmy. Well, little Timmy, the reason why there's no money is because of Nigel fucking Farage. Because that aristocratic, privately educated, city trading, private jet flying, pilot driving to possible unaliving person, he decided that we wanted to screw this country into the ground. And now he's got his little minions, his little spawn all around the country, in these councils here in Durham, down in Kent, over in Staffordshire, in Lancashire. He's got them there in the councils, these little disgusting, slimy spawn, covered in oil, covered in disgusting, the most horrible, most horrific bunker oil, crude oil, just sliming around, going, I know, let's keep Britain dependent on this filthy, slimy fuel from all around the world. Anywhere but here. EBH, anywhere but here. Because how dare Britain, how dare British people make their own energy? How dare they capture the rain from the sky? How dare They capture the wind and use it to power their cars. How dare they capture the sun and use it to power their homes? How fucking dare they? No, they say. The fuckers. They say no. We're going to keep Britain dependent, weak, not sovereign. Because if you don't have energy sovereignty, you don't have sovereignty at all. Because every time there's a fucking war in the Middle East or some dickhead in the Kremlin in Russia decides to invade one of its neighbours, the price of our living goes up. Inflation goes up. The price of oil goes up. The price of heating goes up. And we have no control over it whatsoever. And the few levers that we did have to pull when we were one of the 3 senior members of the EU, Nigel Farage, the bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance, has broken those levers. We don't have them anymore. Well fucking done. Well done, you fuckers. You've done a number on my country. You should be ashamed of yourselves. If you could feel shame. I think possibly you're too stupid to be able to do that. Anyway, Jovian, thank you very much for the £20 super chats. Jovian's been very kind this morning, keeping our channel alive, our little channel, little corner of the internet over here on Politics Social. Thank you. Reservoir construction is expensive, would impact or negate their profits. Profits before people. Yeah, every time. Every time. And Anne says that's why it seems obvious to us that essentials like water should not be subject to market forces. Yeah. This water sponsored by BP. Royal Dutch Shell presents water, H2O, dihydrogen monoxide. It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely, the water industry should be nationalised. Starmer pandering to them is disgraceful. Well, we talked about this on the agenda, and we'll talk about it a bit more at 1 o'clock. But there are certain things that the government's hands are tied on because they don't want to, because we haven't got the money. Like, if we hadn't Brexited, we could have renationalised the water companies on day one of a Labour government. But we don't have the money. And it has to go through all kinds of legal hoops for us to get there. I do believe we will get there. I'm hoping it's going to be in this parliament, but if not, it will definitely be in the next parliament. You've got wonderful MPs like Clive Lewis who are really, really pushing for the nationalisation of water. From what I've seen, okay, and this is also to do with the privatisation or the renationalisation of the private rail companies, is they're allowing the franchisers to run out. So to save the taxpayer money, they're not buying out these franchises for billions. They're just waiting until that franchise runs out, and then it comes under government control. So there's about a quarter, I think, at the moment of rail companies are now under government control, and that's gonna grow. Great British Rail, and it's the same with the water companies. They don't want to cost the taxpayer billions to buy back these water companies off the people who own them. What a better way to do it is, and then also, I mean, even if they buy them for £1, we're going to have to take on all of the debt that these motherfuckers have accrued since 1990. You're talking billions of pounds worth of debt. That will be something that the public will have to pay for. So we'll be paying money from our tax to, like, I don't know, a pension fund in Canada, right? Fuck off. So the way I am looking at Labour at the moment, having to squint a little bit and go, is this what they're doing? I think this is what they're doing. We can have a chat with, remind me later when we're chatting with Phil and get his take on it. But I think that they are putting in these rules about massive fines for these companies that break the rules. Fines that make it, because it used to be that to pollute a river, you were given like the equivalent of like a £20,000 fine. Or you could pay £1 million to actually fix the system so you weren't polluting the river. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to pollute the river because it's a lot cheaper. So what Labour have done is put the fines up, and they've also made it so that CEOs could actually go to jail for pumping raw sewage into Lake Windermere, etc. And I'm hoping that that is going to force these companies to clean up their acts and spend their money cleaning up the place, cleaning up the sewage and everything else. By the way, you do know that the reason why there's more shit in our water now than there was before we Brexited is because of Brexit. You do know the reason why there's turds all over our beaches now is because of Brexit. Because one of the knock-on effects that we had of Brexit is it made it more difficult to get the chemicals that these companies need to break down the shit in our sewage pipes. The price of it went up. It made it harder to bring it into the country. I mean, it's easier now after Labour bringing in alignment, dynamic alignment with standards. But that's on food. I don't know what the situation is with chemicals at the moment. But I know that before we Brexited, there was no one coming here on a boat, on a small boat, across the channel as a refugee. I know that before Brexit, there wasn't as much shit in our rivers or on our beaches or in our ponds or in our lakes or in our reservoirs or in our Lake Windermere's. Yes, I know it's not a lake. Don't at me. The problem is with fines, they are passed on to the customers through higher bills. Good point, Chrissy. Good point. I'm getting what my point was going to be is like I think that Labour are trying to make it so that these companies lose interest in having these, running these things because they're not going to be the cash cows they once were under the Tory government and the previous Labour government. They could have got rid of it and they didn't. Previous Labour government could have done something about public transport and they didn't. Why didn't they? I have no idea. Perhaps because they don't take public transport. Well, when they do, they travel on our train to first class. So that's nice, isn't it? Brexit was shit in so many ways, says David Peacock. Yes, it was. Every single, financially, socially, economically, in relationships with our friends, our families, our neighbours, colleagues. It was just shit all around. And Nigel Farage did that. Nigel bastard Farage did that. The little fuckface shit. The natterjack toad reflected in a doorknob. The nicotine-stained man frog. And people go, I really like Nigel Farage. He's just like one of us. He's not one of you. He wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, unless he could piss petrol. Water companies cleaning up their act up. I mean, I like the positivity from you, Graham, but that's a bit naive, to be honest. They will fight their corner right to the end to do nothing because something to do with cost. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, okay, so maybe I'll put that becomes it'll force them to clean their act up or just give up. Just say, oh, right, fuck it, we're selling up. We owe too much. We're gonna wind ourselves down, and then when they're not going to cost as much to purchase, the government's going to go, okay, we'll have you now. Yuri, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Refuck councillor Ed Hill has been suspended by Refuck for helping kids get free school meals. Refuck said it went against party interests. Holy fuck. Really? 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 Oh, well. Let's have a look here. I keep seeing articles the best beaches in the UK. Sorry, I had to send a message. With microplastics, urine could become like petroleum. Yeah, that's true. I've read somewhere we've got like 1% of our brains are now plastic because of all the plastic we ingest. Jovian, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. BBC reporting, Environment Agency has released a report that pollution incidents by water companies are up 60% over the last year. Wow. Wow, wow, wee wow. Wow, 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 wow. That is just mad. It's a blooming hazard around here. What is that? Is that the blooms that we have because of the shit in the water? If that's the plan, Labour need to be in government for at least 2 terms. Otherwise, the water companies will lobby Tories refuck to reverse the new rules. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it could happen quite quickly. What I'm saying is, like, if Labour managed to whittle away at the business model of these water companies, which is to provide a shit service, pass all the costs on to the customers, embezzle, break any kind of standards or of decency when it comes to pouring shit into our rivers. These are some of the biggest polluters in the country. Are these water companies? You know, they pollute more than like the paper mills and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely abhorrent what they're getting away with. But if Labour can chip away at the business model so they become unviable, then they'll move away, and they might fund. So as it stands, these bloody companies have got loads and loads of debt, right? So they owe all this money to people. If we buy them, the government is going to owe that debt. So we're going to owe that debt, right? We're going to have to take on that debt. However, if these companies file for bankruptcy, then the creditors, they get whatever's left of the company. At that point, the legal onus on the payback for the creditors lands on the company. And in the meantime, the government can take it over and say, right, well, we'll have that, but we're not going to worry about the debt. I think that's the policy. I don't know. Let's have a chat with Phil about it later to see what Uncle Phil says. Call him Uncle Phil. He's only like 3 years older than me. Chris says, considering water is essential to life, access to clean and safe water should be a human right and shouldn't be allowed to be sold for a profit. Okay. Spot on, Graham. Thank you, David. I'm so glad someone agrees with me. So it's like, I've heard it's a bit depressing when I'm like looking at the messages here and everyone's like, "You a dickhead, Graham. What are you talking about?" oh, Graham, you sweet summer child. I think this is what they're getting at. I might be wrong. They might just be fucking being dickheads, but you know, I'm trying to squint. I'm trying to squint and see the good. I'm trying to see the good between the lines. Anyway, so yeah, let's move on to the papers. Should we go to the papers? Anyone want to go do the papers this morning? Let's do the papers. First of all, we've got the Daily Star. Sweet dreams. Lionesses are in semis. I mean, what is this ad? What are you even doing with this ad? Go away, pig. Fucking all a piggy bank is going to remind me of now is Squid Game. Anyway, here's the Star. Lionesses are in semis. Everyone looking pretty happy there. Hannah Hampton, penalty shootout hero. Look at her. She caught about 5 penalties. I mean, who does that? Who does that? She was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant. Trump is here making Coke great again. So this is a weird kind of like overlap story to a few years ago. Do you remember when Rishi Sunak admitted to being a Coke addict? I know it feels like a fever dream now, right? But this did happen. He was trying to talk to kids in a state school. And Rishi Sunak is not someone who can just talk to people in a normal way. I think he's a bit like, you know, Starmer in that respect. He's a bit sort of, there's a bit of an uncanny valley. There's a bit of a gap. There's a term for this, isn't there? Where it's like a congeniality gap or something. It's just whether you can just sort of get on with someone and just, you know, have a chat with them in a normal sort of way, in a normal flow of conversation. If you're talking to someone who's, you know, especially a neo-aristocrat, and they come across as a bit stilted, they consider what they say before they say it. They can't just sort of relax and let their hair down and just talk about whatever they want to talk about. He's a bit like that. So he's trying to talk to these kids in this like really stilted way, that he was taught in Winchester or whatever posh Borstal he went to, and he was explaining to them that he was a coke addict, not cocaine. Although, you know, I wouldn't put that out the question, being a Tory and the amount of cocaine that swashes around that party, apparently, allegedly, according to sources. People are saying. And he said that he loves drinking Coca-Cola, but he loves Mexican Coke the best. Which, you know, everyone was laughing at this, going, he loves Mexican Coke, of course he does, the big fucking weirdo. But at the same time, it was like, he was making a point about the fact that for the Mexican formula, all of this is made in Georgia, by the way. All Coca-Cola is made in Atlanta, Georgia. All of it. They make it a syrup, and that's sent off around the world, like gigatons of it, around the world every fucking day. And it's bottled locally. but the recipe that they use to make the syrup is different depending on where it's going to. The stuff that they make in America is high fructose corn syrup, I think it's called. It's made from corn because America is obsessed with corn, like, you know, corn, massive corn addicts. And you go over the flyover states, it's just cornfields as far as the eye can see. And there's lots of stuff you can make from corn other than corn on the cob. And one of the things you can make is this sugary substitute for sugar. But the stuff they make for Mexico is they use sugar cane for that. So it tastes different. The sweetness is different. And so Trump has decided in his infinite wisdom that he's going to force Coke to stop using American corn from American farmers and use sugarcane instead. Now, I know they grow sugarcane in America, but you know it's Latin America and the Caribbean that's more famous for sugarcane. You know, the rum dubbity dum. And yeah, I think that he's been got to by the sugarcane mafia. Who are the sugarcane mafia, Graham? Oh, come, sit on my knee. I'll tell you a story. I know it's a bit creepy. You don't have to sit on my knee. I'll just tell you a story. So, there's a company called Tate & Lyle who make sugarcane. They've been making sugarcane since the days of plantations. Since the days of slavery. Yes. Yes, they have. So when you go to the Tate Museum, know that that was set up by someone who was, in some way, a family associated with slavery. One of the big things that came from the slave plantations in the Caribbean was sugarcane. But then, in 1973, we joined the EU. And we started growing sugar beet. And all over Europe, they grow sugar beet. And in the UK, we grow sugar beet. But Tate and Lyle are like, but we want people to have sugar cane from halfway around the world because that's more profitable for us. And you'll never guess who was one of the funders of Brexit. You know, one of the backers of Brexit. The sugarcane manufacturing sugarcane manufacturing emporium. No, that's not the right word. The sugarcane manufacturing motherfuckers. And they fucked over British beet farmers who had to then change to grow something else because they could bring in their sugar cheaper than what we could get it grown in this country for whatever reason. I don't understand the economics of it. But there you go. And that's why, if you have a look on the passes at the Tory party conference, you'll see that the conference is sponsored by, drum roll please, Tate and Lyle. Anyway, so there you go. Tate and Lyle, the fucking oddballs. They make golden syrup with a picture of a dead lion on it, covered in bees. They look like flies, but they're actually bees. Dead lion. The ones with the dead lion on the. Hey guys, what should we have for our logo? Should we have a leaping jaguar? Should we have like a propeller of a plane? Should we have like? No, I've got it. Dead lion. Dead fucking lion on the golden syrup. Happy fucking days. Yeah. I was told years ago that cane sugar was better quality than the best beet sugar. Probably untrue, as many things I was told that turned out to be. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's an opinion of taste, but I would rather that British farmers got money for their farm produce than I'd rather European farmers got money for it. And also there's the food miles issue as well. I don't want food traveling halfway around the fucking world. I don't want that. I want as much food as we can get grown here or very close to here. Like Netherlands. Spain, France, Italy, Europe, we're fucking up the environment, but if we hadn't fucked up the environment, my God, it is rich terrain for growing stuff in these here parts of the world. I mean, you look at America and like the Dust Bowl era, like, these farmers trying to fucking make stuff in bloody sand. Good luck with that, mate. Then you have in Australia, you have like big cattle farms that are in the fucking desert, in the semi-arid fucking, the semi-arid semi-desert. And you're like, what are you doing? And then you come to Europe and it's all lush pastures. It's all like beautiful, green, vast swathes of green. You go for the middle of America, it's all vast swathes of fucking light brown. Same with fucking, what's that place called? Dickhead place. Texas. Someone's going to go, well, some parts of Texas are actually quite green, Graham. Yeah, but I know, but it's basically a desert. New Mexico, desert. Nevada, desert. I could actually cope with less sugar in most foods, but not replaced by chemical sweeteners, please. They are worse. Just gradually turn down the amount. People get used to it. Sugar's more addicted than heroin. Anyone remember Coca-Cola attempting to become number one soft drink in every country? They managed to become every country but one. They could not budge the Scots from Iron Brew. Bless them, says Captain Coconut. Well, they wouldn't have been number one in Syria because you can't get Coca-Cola in Syria, and the only Coca-Cola you can get in Cuba, I think, is smuggled in from Mexico. There's a few countries that don't allow Coca-Cola, but most of them do. Taking liars' actions are exactly what domestic tariffs are designed for, to protect host countries' industries. Our country is upside down. Yep. Brett Wall, absolutely. Gobshites. How much should they charge to watch the Slough? Is that supposed to be Slough? Women's team? I don't know. Number 2 in Austin Powers was right. There are no countries anymore. It's just corporations. Anyway, so maybe Tate and Lyle or whoever have got in touch with Trump and said, Trump, you've got to tell Coca-Cola to change their recipe because that'll make billions for us as suppliers of this stuff. Let's go back to here. Brits by names leaked, so someone knows all the names of all our spies now. Great, well done, dickheads. We've got the Daily Express here. Labour in for a nasty voter surprise. Giving the vote to 16-year-olds will backfire on Labour with a nasty surprise, Nigel Farage has claimed. Well, this is what I was thinking of talking about this morning, is Labour's comms. But I've gone on about Labour's comms just way too much. But Labour needs to sort out their comms. Apparently, Nigel Farage has more followers on TikTok than all other MPs put together. Yeah, Labour fucking sort it out. ABC, Labour. Are you listening? Labour, are you listening? Always be campaigning. I think I'm going to get some t-shirts done because I'm going to go like this to the conference. I tried wearing a suit to the conference because I thought people would take me more seriously if I was wearing a suit. But obviously my Scouse accent means that no one's ever going to take me seriously in this life or the next. So I'm just going to stop pushing against this fucking tide. I'm just going to let it wash over me. I'm going dressed like this and I'm going to have some t-shirts made to wear with a slogan on it. So I think one of them's got to be Protect the Dolls, OVS. And then I'm going to have another one that I think is going to say Always Be Campaigning. ABC, Always Be Campaigning. And I'm going to walk around with that on my t-shirt and just get talking to people and go, why aren't you campaigning now? What are you doing? Like Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin, they are always campaigning. They never, ever stop campaigning. Even in the case of Putin, when he's sewn up the elections and murdered all the opposition, he still keeps campaigning. The whole invasion of Ukraine is part of his fucking campaign. It's a military campaign for his political campaign to stay in power. Netanyahu, always campaigning. They never stop campaigning. Labour go, oh, well, it's not an election, is it? So what's the point? Just, 2 weeks before a local election, and then we'll knock on some doors. Oh, for fuck's sake. Really? Is that the plan? Anyway, sugar cane is a species of grass. Sugar beet is a variant of the common beetroot. You can't beat a root, as they say in Australia. Captain Coconut. I think that says much more about the people using TikTok than Farage's support on it. No, but young people use TikTok, Captain. That's the point. I mean, it is an overwhelmingly young person's medium. And although some old fogies like myself like to use it, it is the territory of the young. And Labour should be putting videos out every day, asking, what happened to that pilot that you were in the crash with? Nigel. Why does no one ever ask him about the pilot that he was in the crash with? What happened there, Nigel? Can you just run through that? What happened to the pilot who was obviously had PTSD after that traumatic plane crash? Did you help him out, Nigel? Did you help him out? Did you pay for his therapy? Did you? Did you get him a psychologist? Did you get him a psychiatrist? Did you? Did you, Nigel? Did you? While you were riding on the EU gravy train, earning over £1 million a year that you gave to your wife and your mistress. Do you remember them? Do you remember those good old days when you put on your expenses for trips away with your mistress? Yeah. Yeah, I do. No one else seems to fucking remember in this country because our caliber of journalists is basically, oh, I used to go to school with you. I'll give you a job. Fucking stupid country that we live in. Grrr. Lovingly said by a quarter Scouser, says Mr. Tisk. What? Sugar is most plant cells. You mash it up, dissolve it in water, and crystallize the sugar. It's why smoothies are bad. Might as well eat a Mars bar. Are smoothies supposed to be good? Smoothies are fantastic. Smoothies are awesome. Don't say they're bad. You've got a hangover, and you get a full English breakfast or a breakfast burrito with a smoothie. Oh yeah, come on. That's gonna get rid of that. That's gonna clear up that hangover right away. You can keep your continental breakfasts. I want a breakfast burrito. Birds of a feather, says Brett. Indeed. Carbohydrates are converted into sugar by enzymes in the cells, says Chris. We're getting a lesson. We're getting lessons here in science, which is good. I like science. I like scientific lessons in science. Something targeted them. Iron Brew is actually made from girders. Yeah, it is. Leanne Scott, such larders? What? Such larders? Nige is an overgrown head boy who just grifts along. Yeah. Yes, he is. He is. Anyway, so on with the show. Into the mirror. Look, I'm really excited about the fact that 16-year-olds are going to be allowed to vote. We're going to be talking about this more later on with Phil and what the implications are of this. But I'm over the moon. I think it's fucking great. Not least because it means that my stepdaughter is definitely going to be able to vote in the next election, whereas otherwise it was a bit. She might have been able to vote or might not, depending on when the election fell in that year. It's likely that she would have not been able to vote in the election because she was going to turn 18 a few months after the election, depending on when it was. But like, if that happened, it means that you don't actually get a say until you're 23. Can you imagine that? You don't get a say in the government until in the national government. You don't get a say until you're 23. If you turn 18 just after a general election, I think that's wrong. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring down the age of the oldest you can be to vote in your first election to 21, which is, that's great. I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's a good situation. I would have an election every 4 years myself, but that's just me. Francis Winrow, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Payday support. Woo! Thank you for paying in to the payday support. One of my favourite idioms, by running and defecating at the same time, you'll get crap on your heels. Said Dark 4x4. Thank you for that. Doesn't make any sense, but thank you anyway. Here we go. 16-year-olds to vote in next election. 1.5 million teens will get their say on next Prime Minister in 2029 polls. Fucking great news. And Swede victory there at the top there. Just absolutely phenomenal stuff from the England women's team. And then we've got the meet the couples downsizing at 50. Yeah, good. Downsize. Your kids are left home. Fucking downsize. You don't need the big house. Just fucking down. Streeting offers to write off student loans to stop doctors' strike. Doctors could have their student loans written off as part of a deal with the government to avoid a 5-day strike next week. Yeah. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with. Why do we make people who are training to be doctors? Why do we make them pay for that? Why do we make them pay for the privilege of saving people's lives. That's fucking weird. Just take a step back for a moment and just go, yeah? What? What? Yeah. Yeah. Come on. That's just bonk. That is just bonkers. Abbott loses whip again for repeating race comments. We've mentioned that. There's Archie Ferguson and Alan. Archie and Alan. At the Royal Hospital, replanting the Chelsea pensioners' gold-winning garden from the Chelsea Flower Show. So there you go. They won an award. Well done, old chaps. Well done. It must be fucking hot in that get-up. I mean, they're not. This is what I don't understand. You know when you see all like the old pictures of like the British Army in Africa, and they're all wearing these like red coats, and I'm like, bloody hell! This, I've always got stuff like this in Africa. I'll wear a t-shirt with maybe a waistcoat over it. That was too hot. But not taking it off, mate. First of all, no one needs to see that. But secondly, I'll burn. I will burn. Afghan data leak named British spies and soldiers, which discussed this insane data leak, which just is an absolute farce. The gathering storm over what John Sherrod really said to get the sack from MasterChef. I don't care. He's sacked. Just sack the bastard. Don't let him go back on TV again. I don't care what he. I don't. Does it need to be repeated? It was a disgusting racial slur. Does it need to be repeated? I don't know. Police to use facial recognition cameras at Notting Hill Carnival. Facial recognition cameras will be used at this year's Notting Hill Carnival for the first time in unprecedented crackdown on violence. Unprecedented crackdown on violence? I think the term you want to use is an unprecedented crackdown on civil rights. I think that's the term you want to use. This is scary. This is surveillance Britain. I do not like this. I do not like this. I do not like going down this route. You know? Visitors to Europe's biggest street party will be scanned for wanted knife offenders, rapists, robbers, and those suspected of serious violent crimes. I mean, look, if someone causes trouble at the carnival and you arrest them and then you use facial scan technology to see if they're wanted for other crimes, fair enough. Okay? Facial recognition technology is available. We use it in our passports. Okay, I give them that. But the idea of going to a festival with the intention of just making mass arrests of people with outstanding warrants or outstanding offences, I don't know. That makes me feel very, very uncomfortable. I don't want to live in a surveillance state. And what about the false positives? What about the people who are just there with their family having a lovely time, and then suddenly their face is scanned, and because a lot of this facial recognition technology is designed by white people, it can be a bit racist. It can be a bit racist, especially towards people from China and some people from Africa or African or Chinese descent. And as a result, you might get false positives. You might have someone who's there with their family enjoying a day out and they get fucking arrested at a fucking carnival wrongly. No, this makes me feel profoundly uncomfortable. And while I don't agree with the whole, there is a British thing about we should give criminals a sporting chance to get away with it, especially if they're posh. I don't really go down that route, but I don't think this is the way to do it. I do not see this as a good thing at all. And even if just one person has their day ruined by being arrested and bundled in the back of a paddy wagon and taken away, it makes me feel very, very uncomfortable. And there's some people, I don't know who these people are, but they're on the front cover, so I guess they're important. One's wearing a bikini. You pay a price for being outspoken, says Rosanna Arquette. Yes. Yes, Rosanna. Yes. But also, you can make some money out of it. You can make a lot of money from being outspoken. Look at Joe Rogan. He's made fucking millions, billions from being outspoken. Look at Nigel Farage. Look at fucking Donald Trump. Is there a rule about being outspoken? No. It's just that you need to know when to say things and when not to say things, I guess. Learn what you can get away with. Are you Donald Trump? No, well, you probably get away with saying that then, can you? Linkin Park on their triumphant second act. Okay. Diane Abbott suspended for second time for Labour. Home turf, Rory McIlroy back in action at the Open. He's playing tennis there, as you can see. We've got voting age to be lowered to 16. And UK link to bombs used in Gaza schools. Let's highlight this story. Europe's largest missile maker, MBDA, is selling crucial components for bombs shipped in their thousands to Israel and used in airstrikes where research indicates Palestinians, including children, have died. Okay, so let's stop helping them. Let's stop helping them make bombs. How about that, eh? Hooray for heels. Okay, and then we've got Rory McIlroy on the first day of the Open. Not on the last day. Not when it really matters. But can you notice what story isn't here? Can you see what story isn't on the front cover of this paper at all? Can you spot the hooray for heels? My workout plan does what fat jabs can't. Vote to 16. ECHR. Britain forced to pay EU. Streeting's olive branch. We're powerless. Abbott suspended. Jaguar cost. The little Mac cartoon. Maybe the parents would like to leave the table while the 16-year-olds discuss politics. Ageism. Not a word about the Lionesses' victory last night. Dramatic victory in the quarterfinals of the Euros. Now, I ask you, right, if it was the men's team, would the Daily Telegraph have absolutely left any sign that there had been a match out of the front page in favour of one man from Northern Ireland? That's the sexism. That's the misogyny. That is the everyday misogyny that women have to put up with in this country. The very first transfer of £1 million transfer for a female football player happened this week. The very first one for 1 million. Do you know how much the most expensive male transfer was? 180 million. And do you know what? I prefer watching the girls. I prefer watching the girls. I just think it's more fun. I think it's more entertaining, to be honest with you. And you know what? The women's team are better at saving and taking and saving penalties than the men's team. So there you go. Every time the women's team have come up against a difficult penalty shootout, they've won. Every time the men come up against a difficult penalty shootout, they fucking lose. An audition for a pizza ad, as my friend Mike Dix called it. The men are auditioning to be in the page is unresponsive. That's not good, is it? One angry pagan says, Graham, the AISLIC devolution bill looks good too. Can you please bring this up with Phil, please? I don't know what the AISLIC devolution bill is, but if you can give me a little bit more info on that one, Angry Pagan, I'll look into it for you. Gallifreyan Ren, it's really not beating the Starmers and autocrat allegations for particular rabbit corners, is it? No, it's not. Although my computer's just shutting down here. It's just saying, no, I can't show this static picture of a newspaper front page. Google Chrome is like struggling. It's really struggling. Germany hints at new economic union with France and the UK. The E3 growing stronger with first pact between London and Berlin since World War II, which is exciting. Trains! New direct rail link between Britain and Germany. I love there's an exclamation mark. It's kind of hidden away. Stop doing this. It's kind of hidden away there, but it's got a little exclamation mark after the word trains because trains are boss. Trains are like super, super exciting. I'm just going to close down some other windows that I've got open here because obviously my computer's just straining to keep more than one tab open at any one time. I worked on MasterChef. Wallace was lewd, but Tarode said nothing. Maybe you didn't hear what he said. Maybe you weren't there on that particular day. Do you know what that reminds me of? It's when, it comes out that someone's a nonce and these dickheads come out and go, well, they never nonced me. Now, their adult friends, the adult male friends. They go, well, I never saw him noncing anyone. And it's like, when you get serial killer, do people come on the TV and go, well, you never killed me? Yeah, okay. It's like when people go, oh, I know someone had measles and they were fine. Yeah, I know someone had cancer and it just went away of its own accord. Yeah, doesn't mean that measles can't kill other children. Doesn't mean that measles can't cause other children to go into a fucking coma for 6 weeks or lose their sight or lose their hearing. Doesn't necessarily mean that other people aren't going to die of the same cancer. Oh, it never affected me. I was fine. Why aren't you fine? Everyone should be fine. And then we've got Ricky Wilson from the Kaiser Chiefs. People tell me they hate my band. I love the Kaiser Chiefs. They're fun. Every single one of the Kaiser Chiefs songs goes like this. Whoop, 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 way. It's a simple formula, but it's very effective, especially when live. UK gives the vote to teens aged 16, with Reform and Corbyn likely to benefit. Pollsters believe that Nigel Farage's left-wing MPs and Green Party will be boosted by historic change to voting age in Britain. Seismic change to UK democracy as Labour lowers voting age in time for the next election. Good. And now Labour need to capitalise on that by actually getting control of their fucking comms. Always be campaigning. Here we have the lady as a vamp, Alex as Morticia. I don't know who that is. Sorry, I'm terrible. My celeb knowledge is a bit shit. My geographical knowledge is better than my celeb knowledge. I have no qualifications in either. Starmer's New Generation. Oh, there's a reference to a Suede song there, and also maybe Pepsi. And that was the Next Generation, wasn't it? PM hails boost for democracy, but critics condemn age quirks and Labour poll lift. Okay. Very cool. I'm getting this stupid message again. Reeves under fire as Britain sheds jobs for a 5th month. Staff numbers down 41,000 in June. Budget and trade war with US cited. Doesn't surprise me. We've got the dilemma over using AI in universities, which is a big dilemma, and we could do a fucking long program about that. Why Africa seems to like Trump, because Trump reminds people in Africa of their beloved leaders of the 1980s with their gaudy gold shite all over their gaudy gold shite palaces with their their painted gold taps. They used to get like normal tin taps and just paint them gold to make them look it's just so tacky. It's so trashy, with the big shoulder pads and all the fucking medals coming out, all the big thing of medals coming out all the way. It's like a parody. It's like a piss take. Anyway, Reeves under fire as Britain sheds job for this month. I've had that one. Eye of the Storm. White House attacks Powell. White House attacks on Powell trigger fears over independence of central bank. Indeed. Trump risks sugar risk with Coke sweetener call. President Trump says he has persuaded Coca-Cola to switch from processed corn syrup to cane sugar in the US version of the iconic drink because it's just better. The move could have political repercussions as many farmers that produce the syrup are Midwestern states that backed him. Cane sugar comes mainly from Florida and Louisiana and is also imported. As I said, it's more a Caribbean thing than a Midwest thing. MI6 operatives and UK Special Forces were named in leaked Afghan database. We've talked about that. And then there's just adverts for, I don't know, fucking plimsolls or something. Jesus Christ, how old am I getting? Graham, sorry, the English devolution bill. Okay, sorry. English devolution bill. Okay, I'll write that down on my list. I don't know anything about it yet. English devolution bill. I like the idea of having a devolved parliament for England. Witchy Goth. Exactly. Andy Murray was interviewed as being the first Brit to win Wimbledon in 70 years. I remember this. He reminded them that Virginia Wade won in 1977. Yeah. He also mentioned that every time that he wins, he's British, and every time he loses, he's Scottish in the media. My biggest disappointment this year was Graham. Oh, sorry, Christopher. Oh, no, I'm reading that one. Was Football Manager 25 being cancelled. I was hoping to build the Reading women's team. Hopefully in November, I'll get the chance on full manager. What's FM? FIFA Manager 26. Looks like all my deliveries are going to be made. Football Manager, FIFA Manager, Football Manager. Sorry, I'm so out of the loop. Yes, it starts off from the beginning of the freeze, but a different story and characters. Some of the things stay the same, but the political arc is the same. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? We're talking about Snowpiercer. Got a fame event. I want to get the Concorde, but I've realised that with the Titanic, the Venator Star Destroyer, and Apollo 11 already in residence, I don't have the space. Ironic, because many of them are space ships. Apart from the Titanic, which was a ship. I need me squeaky tank. Squeaky tank. Squeaky tank. Squeaky tank. Right. Give me flashbacks to A-level politics where I had to write an essay about how shit an English parliament would be. Trump alienating his natural voter base. Yeah. The difference is, lemon twist. I can feel it coming. The beginning of the twist is this. Labour voters aren't dickheads. So when Starmer does stuff to piss us off, we don't necessarily continue voting Labour for the rest of our lives. But the MAGA base are so pig ignorant, so pig-headed, so just pigs. They will follow Trump into the dying heart of a burning sun. Like a burning heart of a dying sun, even. Fucked up my metaphor there. Who cares? No one's watching. No one noticed that, I'm sure. So they will follow him off a cliff. If he stood at the edge of a cliff and said to all of his 77 million MAGA voters, this way, and he stood at the edge of the cliff, and he'll say, I'll jump after you, you lot. They would do it. They would do it without question. These people are in a cult. And yes, he is getting a lot of blowback right now because of Epstein. But, my friends, let's be serious. This guy got away with mounting an insurrection against the American Parliament building, in which he sent a mob of over 1,500 people into the building to smash it up, to murder senators and representatives, to kill the vice president. And he got away with it. Not only did he get away with it, he got rewarded with being re-elected President of the United States of America, the most powerful job in the world. So, when the likes of Midas Touch, who are slightly hysterical, and yes, I understand the misogynistic context of using that word, but I can't think of a better word to use right now. Hysterical outlets who are screaming, "This is it! We got him!" Pressing the big button on, last week tonight with John Oliver. He had the big button. He just pressed the big button. We got him! Big fucking, thing would all fell behind him. We got him! Finally, we got it! I'm sorry. I wish this wasn't true. And I hope I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I will show this animation with glee. I will show this animation. I will say I was wrong. And I'll be very, very happy about being wrong. But I don't think all this shit about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump's very close friendship with him and the number of children that were sexually assaulted by the disgusting rapist in charge of America right now, I don't think it's going to make a lick of difference. He doesn't have to run for election again. People aren't going to rise up and storm the White House. They just aren't. So what does he care? He's a lame duck president. He's got what he wanted to do. He was put in place by the billionaires to give the billionaires a massive fucking tax cut. Take all the money from the poor people or the ordinary people who needed it for healthcare so their children don't die of brain cancer. He took all that money and he's given it to his already rich friends. And when I say rich, I mean super rich. I mean billionaires. People with more money than they can possibly spend in their entire lifetime, in multiple lifetimes. More money they could spend in 32,000 years. He's done his job. That's what he was there to do. He's repealed Roe versus Wade. He's made it so that courts across the land cannot put an injunction in against presidential edicts, bulls, whatever, papal bulls, whatever they call them. He sends an edict out now. No courts can stop that edict from being put into place. And the only way to stop it is now to go through the court system. While it goes through the court system, it can't be banned across the country. But then finally, when it gets to the Supreme Court, maybe it can be banned in that one place that brought the case. So it might be a state, it might be a city, it might be a village. And then, the presidential edict will stop. The king's edict will stop being in effect in that village, in that hamlet, in that one-horse town. And it's still in place across the rest of America. He's done that. That is done now. Dead women are being forced to use their corpse to gestate babies in America right now. That's happening. Children are dying of communicable diseases that should have been eradicated, like measles. That's happening in Trump's America right now, which is what he wanted, because they're all eugenicists. They want children who they deem weak. They want them to die. Sending out an edict sounds rude. A dictator is what dictators do. They send out edicts. And he's done everything. He's now done everything. He doesn't give a fuck about the midterms. I don't think they're going to have midterms. He's going to declare a state of emergency. All he needs to do now is just, make it so that America never has an election again, a proper election, a free and fair election. Whatever they have in the midterms, I don't think it's going to be free, and I don't think it's going to be fair. And he's going to tax the rest of America to the hilt. And although Americans like to talk big about, how they've got their guns and how they're going to, stand up against a tyrannical government, they're not. They're not. Because as go-getting as Americans are to, seem to be for the rest of the world, they're just as lazy as the rest of us. They can't be arsed. Got things to do. Got things to watch on telly. New season of Severance next year. That sounds good. Let's stay in and watch that. I'm not saying that every American's lazy, but it's not a great situation, is it? He was given ample ice warnings, but chose to continue at full speed through an ice field. As a master of the vessel, everything stops with him. Are we talking about an internal combustion engine? Or are we talking about immigration and customs enforcement? Whatever it's called in America. I find it frustrating that those Bible bashers are all about protecting the fetus, but once it's born, it's on its own. Pathetic. Once it's born, if it's not strong enough, they're happy for the baby to die. If its immune system's not up to scratch, because these people are eugenicists. That's what they are. But I don't see any legal or political way of getting rid of Trump now. He's going to stay in office till the day he carks it. That's what I believe. I might be wrong. I hope I am. I dearly hope I am. But we have a say in this country, not in America, and we have more of a say now that Labour are in rather than the Tories. And while we can complain endlessly about the shit that Labour are doing, at the end of the day, they are a lot more accessible to people who aren't millionaires, i.e. us, than the previous administration. When it was under the Tories, you couldn't talk to these motherfuckers unless you could get them 50 grand for their tennis lessons. Or to sit at a fucking golden plate dinner. Absolutely fucking crazy. Can we talk about how Israel harvesting organs from dead Palestinians? Martin, unfortunately, no, we can't talk about that because I haven't done any research into that. That sounds fucking horrific. I'm going to just make a note because that sounds... Jesus Christ. I don't want to wade into something that I haven't done even a cursory little bit of research about. But yeah, I will cover that. I made a note. I remember Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell were guests at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Wow. Wow. Fucking cray. Absolutely cray. I'll get responses from Andrea Jenkins. I get fuck all from Rachel fucking Reeves. Oh, is Rachel Reeves your MP? Vendetta. This is possibly why we need to have a system where you have an area that has a number of MPs and they can be from different parties. And you can pick the one that you feel best represents your interests and you can write to them. And that's a really good idea. I think it was Femi who was talking about that. And safaris in Gaza. What? Jesus fuck. The article said patient died from pneumonic plague. Oh God, yeah, I read about that trip. I did actually read about that one. It's hard to keep up with all the fucking bad news, isn't it? Yeah, the plague. Someone had the plague in America. People dying of the fucking plague. I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh man. Anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna go. It's nothing you said. It's just that got a lot of stuff to do today. I can't really do a 2.5 hour show today because we have the at 1 o'clock we have the agenda with me and Phil, and then at 9:30 tonight we have the Friday night social, which I'm very excited about. So if you would like to join us for that, you're very welcome to do that. And yeah, Trump is definitely on the flight logs for the Pedo Express. What was it called? The Lolita Express, the plane that Epstein had. We know he went to parties with Epstein. We've seen footage of him at a party with Epstein. We've seen loads of pictures of him with Epstein. Epstein died was killed possibly under Trump's watch, and the stuff that they've put out is just, I mean, it's comical. It showed, I think a Wired investigation showed there were at least 4 edits to the footage that they gave of his prison cell door. It was edited on Photoshop. Yeah. They drilled into the metadata, and there's about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes missing. Funny that. Dog 4x4 with Titanic. We do know that when they saw the berg, they were less than 3 ships' length away. Many bad things happened that day, but Smith is thought to be the one of the least crazy. And, they said even God couldn't sink this ship, and God said, "You're on." Okay, I'm gonna head off. But yeah, Trump, pedophile. That's all you need to know. But the problem is that there are 77.3 million Americans that seem to quite like pedophiles and want them to run the country, want them to run the world, want to put nonsense in charge of everything. I can't do anything about that, but I can do a little bit over here to try and steer the Labour Party away from the iceberg, and also to steer people away from fucking refuck. Could do with some help on that. So, if you know anyone with some money, put them in touch. Okay, I'm heading off. Right, thank you so much for watching. I would like just to want you to do one likable thing that will make you more likable, and you'll never guess what it is. It's giving us a like. Please give us a like to this wonderful Likely channel, full of the Likely lads, and we will give you in return loads of this. Everyone's like, oh, should I give him a like now? If you'd be so kind, please give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I will say thanks for watching. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Very kind of you. I'll see you at 1 o'clock with Phil Morehouse. And until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.